Hello and welcome to this first look exploring session, second session looking at The Malcontent mostly by John Marston with some additionals here and there as we go. I don't know whether there are any additions for this section of the play. We'll find out as we go. We've been enjoying it. There's some really good insults, some good character work. There's a sense of there's a court here, and they're tricksy people. So as we dive back into this court world, reading today, Malevole is.
Hi, my name's Elizabeth Amisu, based in Romford.
Reading Bianca today is.
That is me, Rachael Nicole, actor in New Jersey.
Reading Maquerelle and Bilioso is.
Lalitte, reading from Paris.
Reading Mendoza today is.
Hi, Alan Scott, Suffolk.
Reading Ferneze and Ferrardo is.
Lois in London.
Reading Pietro, Celso and Guerrino is.
Hi, I'm Eric, and this whole sort of first look, second session of first look is getting confusing.
It's complicated, it's complicated. It's an overly complicated system. I like it. There's nothing better than a pointless bureaucracy. Reading Emilia and Passarello is.
Briony, Sparrow, actor in Lincolnshire.
Reading Equato and Prepasso is.
Hello, I'm Sarah Blake. I'm an actor, writer and director living in Germany.
And reading Aurelia and First Page is.
Hello, I'm Lynn. I'm a teacher. I live in the northwestern United States.
And I'm your host, Robert Crighton. I'll be reading stage directions. We are rejoining the text at Act 2, Scene 3, but that does vary depending on which version you're looking at. It is otherwise known in other editions as Act 2, Scene 4. Just to confuse you. So there might be other versions out there as well. I'm just looking at another. Just to keep it vague track. But we rejoin the court as we have the entrance of Maquerelle, Emilia, and Bianca with a posset.
Even here it is. 3 curds in 3 regions, individually distinct, most methodically according to art composed, without any drink.
Without any drink?
Upon my honour. Will you sit and eat?
Good. The composure, the receipt, how is it?
'Tis a pretty pearl. Buy this pearl. How does it with me? Thus it is. 37 yolks of Barbary hen's eggs, 18 spoonfuls and a half of the juice of cock sparrow bones, 1 ounce, 3 drams, 4 scruples, and 1/4 of the syrup of Ethiopian dates, sweetened with 3/4 of a pound of pure candied Indian eringos, strewed over with the powder of pearl of America, amber of Katia, and lambstones of Muscovia.
Trust me, the ingredients are very cordial and, no question, good and most powerful in restoration.
I know not what you mean by restoration, but this it doth. It purifieth the blood, smootheth the skin, enliveneth the eye, strengtheneth the veins, mundifieth the teeth, comforteth the stomach, fortifieth the back, and quickeneth the wit. That's all.
By my troth, I have eaten but 2 spoonfuls, and methinks I could discourse most swiftly and wittily already.
Have you the art to seem honest?
I thank advice and practice.
Why then, eat me of this posset, quicken your blood, and preserve your beauty. Do you know Dr. Plasterface? By this curd he is the most exquisite in forging of veins, sprightening of eyes, dyeing of hair, sleeking of skins, blushing of cheeks, surfling of breasts, blanching and bleaching of the teeth, that ever made an old lady gracious by torchlight. By this curd.
Well, we are resolved. What God has given us we'll cherish.
Cherish anything save your husband. Keep him not too high, lest he leap the pale, but for your beauty, let it be your saint. Bequeath 2 hours in the morning in your closet. I have been young, and yet in my conscience I'm not above 25. But believe me, preserve and use your beauty. For youth and beauty once gone, we are like beehives without honey, out of fashion apparel that no man will wear. Therefore, use me in your beauty.
Why, but men say...
Men say... Let men say what they will. Life a woman, they are ignorant of our wants. The more in years, the more in perfection they grow. If they use their youth and beauty, they gain wisdom and discretion. But when our beauty fades, good night with us. There cannot be an uglier thing to see than an old woman, from which, O pruning, pinching, and painting, deliver all sweet beauties.
And music plays within.
Hark, music.
Peace, 'tis the Duchess's bedchamber. God rest, most prosperously graced ladies.
Good night, Sentinel.
Night, dear Maquerelle.
May my posset's operation send you my wit and honesty, and me your youth and beauty. The pleasingest rest.
And they exit at one door, Bianca and Emilia, at another, Maquerelle. There is a song within. And whilst the song is singing, enter Mendoza with his sword drawn, standing ready to murder Ferneze as he flies from the Duchess's chamber. There is a tumult.
Strike.
And everybody says...
Strike! Strike!
Save my Ferneze! Oh, save my Ferneze!
Follow!
Pursue! Oh, save Ferneze!
And enter Ferneze in his shirt and is received upon Mendoza's sword.
Pierce, pierce, thou shallow fool, drop there.
Thrusts his rapier in Ferneze.
He that attempts a princess' lawless love must have broad hands, close heart with Argus eyes, and back of Hercules, or else he dies.
Enter Aurelia, Pietro, Ferrardo, Bilioso, Celso, Equato, etc. All together now.
Follow!
Stand off, forbear, ye most uncivil lords.
Strike!
Do not. Tempt not a man resolved.
Mendoza bestrides the wounded body of Ferneze and seems to save him.
Would you? Inhuman murderers more than death.
Oh, poor Ferneze!
Alas, now all defence too late.
He's dead!
I am sorry for our shame. Go you to your bed. Weep not too much, but leave some tears to shed when I am dead.
What? Weep for thee? My soul no tears shall find.
Alas, alas, that women's souls are blind.
Betray such beauty, murder such youth, condemn civility. He loves him not, but rails not at him.
Thou canst not move us. We have blood enough. And please you, lady, we have quite forgot all your defects. If not, why then...
Not
the best of rest. Good night.
Exeunt Pietro, Ferrardo, Bilioso, Celso, and Equato.
despite go with thee.
Madam, you have done me foul disgrace. You have wronged him much, loves you too much. Go to, your soul knows you have.
I think I have.
Do you but think so?
Nay, sure I have. My eyes have witnessed thy love. Thou hast stood too firm for me.
Why, tell me, fair-cheeked lady, who even in tears are powerfully beauteous, what unadvised passion struck ye into such a violent heat against me? Speak! What mischief wronged us? What devil injured us? Speak!
The thing ne'er worthy of the name, ma'am, Ferneze. Ferneze swore thou lovest Emilia, which to advance with most respect reproachful breath, thou both didst blemish and denounce my love.
Ignoble villain! Did I this bestride thy wounded limbs? For this, a rank opposite even to my sovereign? For this, O God, for this, sunk all my hopes, and with my hopes, my life, rip bare my throat unto the hangman's axe? Thou most dishonoured trunk, Emilia! My life, I know her not, Emilia. Did you believe him?
Pardon me, I did.
Did you? And thereupon you graced him?
I did.
Took him to favour, nay, even clasped with him?
Alas, I did.
This night?
This night.
And in your lustful twines the Duke took you?
A most sad truth.
God, how God! How we dull, honest souls, heavy-brained men are swallowed in the bogs of a deceitful ground, whilst nimble bloods, light-joined spirit speed, cut good men's throats and scape. Alas, I am too honest for this age, too full of phlegm and heavy steadiness. Stood still whilst this slave cast a noose about me. Stay then to stand in honour of him and her who had even sliced my heart.
Come, I did err, and I am most sorry I did err.
Why, we are both but dead, and you hates us, and those whom princes do once groundly hate, let them provide to die as sure as fate. Prevention is the heart of policy.
Shall we murder him?
Instantly.
Instantly, before he casts a plot, or further blaze my honour's much known blot. Let's murder him.
I would do much for you. Will you marry me?
I'll make thee duke. We are of the Medicis. Florence, our friend, in court, my faction, not meanly strengthful. The duke then dead, we well prepared for change. The multitude irresolutely reeling. We enforce our party seconded, the kingdom amazed, no doubt of swift success. All shall be graced.
You do confirm me. We are resolute. Tomorrow, look for change. Rest confident. It is now about the immodest waste of night. The mother of moist dew with pallid light spreads gloomy shades about the numbed earth. Sleep. Sleep while we contrive our mischief's birth. This man are getting inhumed. Farewell to bed. Aye, kiss thy pillow. Dream the Duke is dead. So, good night.
And we're just going to pause on the exit of Aurelia there. We've had, quite a few units of action flowing through this. We've got high drama. We've got someone being murdered on stage. We've got plotting. And we've got some life advice from Maquerelle, who seems to have absorbed internalized the patriarchy there. But I was just getting images of Maquerelle there of just visiting her favourite cosmetic surgeon. I mean, it had a. But probably the one from Brazil, if you know the film. Thoughts from the room about that, or anything that we've had so far. Who wants to leap in on any of that? I'll go to Briony first, then Eric.
I just love the really, really casual way that Aurelia just comes out with, should we murder him? Just to solve all the problems. We've just killed somebody. It's got us in loads of bother. Should we just murder the Duke as well? Okay.
Yeah, I mean she's they're on a level, Mendoza and Aurelia, very much so. And now that they talk to each other, that's all they needed to do. Earlier she left without properly talking to him, having listened to the lies that she'd been told. But if they just had a chat, they could have got straight to murdering her husband ages ago. Eric.
I was going to say that it's very much this thing of the characters coming on stage going, oh, yes, I'm so honest, and you're as beautiful as I'm honest, and we all know that they're not, which kind of gives me this impression that it's like, well, everyone is not very good looking in this production.
Well, no, they're all. We established everybody's like a pigeon house. They're beautiful on the outside, but full of dung on the inside. Rachael.
No, just how kind of darkly funny this is. Like Mendoza calling himself like a poor honest person. There's so much like irony in this, that makes me laugh even when they're talking about, not killing this guy, but when Aurelia is Pietro asks, "Would you cry for me?" And she's just like, "No." It's so mean. It's just so mean that it's like, yeah. And I definitely got like LA plastic surgeon vibes, and people passing around the best doctors to go to for all their lifts and Botoxes.
Yes, their blushing of cheeks and their circling of breasts. All the major things. Elizabeth and Eric.
Is it me or is the Sparrow tincture supposed to do everything? I was like, how can this one product do all those different things?
Well, it's got a hell of a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah. It's got a few ingredients.
That's a long list.
Yeah, you definitely get the impression that Maquerelle has shares in the company, doesn't she? Yeah, it does everything. And this is why we have regulations for that to some degree.
Yeah. I could just see the label. These claims not confirmed by the FDA.
Yeah.
Yes, it's homeopathically connected to sparrows. I think I was going to Eric next, then Rachael.
I was going to say that basically is like, it's almost like you can imagine her sort of going, yes, this is the best tincture. Look at my complexion. And she's obviously this old hag, supposedly, but also sort of this, it probably just smells vile and looks vile as well. For all we know, it could be dung. Like kind of like Baldrick's solutions to making coffee in Blackadder, where he kind of goes, yes, it's fine. It's just, sort of, would you like some sugar? And he grabs some dandruff or something.
Yes, and you just don't want him to make a cappuccino. Rachael.
No, to what Elizabeth was saying, there's like old ads like that you can see like from in the US from like the late like 1890s to like 1920s, and there's random stuff like that's just like a bar of soap that claims to be like a miracle cure for everything. And also it makes me think of those multi-level marketing schemes too, like Maquerelle's like trying to recruit people to sell this so she can make a bit more cash. I don't know, everything about it is just so that pigeon house imagery that you said, that they're all working some multiple angles of something.
Yeah, and especially as, we mentioned we were having a great discussion about possets before we went on, but I'm thinking now this posset is probably like the original formulation for Coca-Cola. Just lovely bit of Coke there. This is moderately dangerous stuff. Who else have we got before we move on? Eric.
Well, I think Elizabeth waved first.
Oh, did Elizabeth wave?
That was me pouring Coke.
Right.
Coke.
Sorry. Well, it's just I think the original it was a much more syrupy kind of thing. So it's not unlike the consistency of perhaps a posset. Anyway, Eric.
I was just going to say that it's interesting how you get this side of Aurelia here, because she kind of like in the previous scene we thought she got her heart broken and just went off like crying and stuff, but now she's just like as duplicitous as the rest of them, basically.
Well, there was something performative about what she was doing in the earlier scenes as well, and I think there's something in that. And so Mendoza, and you were talking about the tone of this, the comedic nature of that there is something vague satirical going on here, and that there's irony being played constantly. I think that the thing about Marston is always going to be, what tone are we? And it's not even what tone do you have for the play. What tone do you have for the moment that we are currently in? Because it will go somewhere else, maybe the next moment. Lois.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about this violent episode where Ferneze gets stabbed and so on is that Mendoza's putting on a complete act. I mean, he's already explained his plot, which is to seem as if he's trying to save Ferneze after having just killed him, and so as to get back into Aurelia's favor after having lost it. And so everything he does is over the top and completely phony, which makes it pretty hard to take the whole thing seriously.
Yeah, because he's in theory standing over the body, doing CPR or something. Oh, come back to me, come back to me. Oh no. I mean, the stage direction I read is not an original one. It was inferred, of the bestriding the wounded body. But yes, that's basically, as it was said earlier, that's basically what was going on. So yeah, but then the two, Mendoza and Aurelia, have a chat, and they've got a plan. Will you marry me? He's so romantic. He's such a romantic thing. Shall we murder him? Will you marry me? Not 4 lines later. So we're still in the middle of the scene, by the way. So let's finish it. There isn't that much left to go, but I kind of wanted to digest some of that before we reintroduce ourselves to some of the others. So Mendoza's been left alone on stage now. He's going to talk to the audience. He's planning a murder and got a fiancée. Let's see where he goes.
Tune dotes on impudence. I am in private, the adopted son of yon good prince. I must be duke. Why, if I must, I must. Most silly lord, name me. Oh, heaven! I see God made honest fools to maintain crafty knaves. The Duchess is wholly mine too. Must kill her husband, to quit her shame. Much, then marry her. Aye. Oh, I grow proud in prosperous treachery, as restless clip, so I'll embrace you all, not to support, but to procure your fall.
Enter Malevole.
God arrest thee.
At whose suit?
At the devil's. Ah, you treacherous, damnable monster. How dost thou, treacherous rogue? Ah, ye rascal. I am banished the court, sirrah.
Prithee, let's be acquainted. I do love thee, faith.
At your service by the Lord. La, shall's go to supper? Let's be once drunk together, and so unite a most virtuously strengthened friendship. Shall us? Hew you not? Shall us?
Wilt fall upon my chamber tomorrow morn?
As a raven to a dunghill. They say there's one dead here, pricked for the pride of the flesh.
Ferneze. There he is. Prithee, bury him.
Oh, most willingly. I mean to turn pure Rachael churchman, I.
Thou, churchman? Why? Why?
Because I'll live lazily, rail upon authority, deny kings supremacy in things indifferent, and be a pope in mine own parish.
Wherefore dost thou think churches were made?
To scour ploughshares. I have seen oxen plough up altars, et nunc seges ubi sion fuit.
Strange.
Nay, monstrous. I have seen a sumptuous steeple turned to a stinking privy. More beastly, the sacredest place made a dog's kennel. Nay, most inhuman. The stoned coffins of long-dead Christians burst up and made hogs' troughs. Hic finis priami. Shall I have some sack and cheese at thy chamber? Good night, good mischievous incarnate devil. Good night, Mendoza. Ah, ye inhuman villain. Good night, night, Fub.
Good night. Tomorrow morn?
Aye, I will come, friendly damnation. I will come.
And exit Mendoza, leaving Malevole to deal with the body of Ferneze.
I do describe cross points. Honesty and courtship straddled as far asunder as a true Frenchman's legs.
Oh.
Proclamations, more proclamations.
Oh, a surgeon.
Hark, lust cries for a surgeon. What news from Limbo? How does the grand cuckold Lucifer?
Oh, help, help. conceal and save me.
And Ferneze stirs and Malevole helps him up.
Thy shame more than thy wounds do grieve me far. Thy wounds but leave upon thy flesh some scar. But fame ne'er heals, still rankles worse and worse. Such is of uncontrolled lust the curse. Think what it is in lawless sheets to lie. But, O Ferneze, what in lust to die? Then thou that shame respectest, oh, fly converse with women's eyes and lisping wantonness. Stick candles gainst the virgin wall's white back. If they not burn, yet at the least they'll black. Come, I'll convey thee to a private port, where thou shalt live, O happy man, from court. The beauty of the day begins to rise, from whose bright form night's heavy shadow flies. Now, gin close plot to work, the scene grows full, and craves his eyes who hath a solid skull.
And exit conveying Ferneze away. He's not dead! So it's one of those nice moments where, you know when people die on stage and they're sitting there clearly breathing. It's fine for once because not dead. Fun times, complications. Just gonna say, Mendoza clearly hasn't done any first aid training. Has no idea checking for life signs there. Maybe it's dark. I don't know. Lois.
Yeah, I love Malevole's line. What news from Limbo?
Yeah. How does the grand cuckold Lucifer? Everybody's a cuckold in this play, even Lucifer. Other thoughts? Eric?
I was going to say technically that comment makes sense because, Lucifer and Adam and Eve and all that stuff. So,
Well, also he has horns.
Yeah, true.
Other thoughts? Briony, you're thinking of having a thought? It's a tentative thought, I can tell.
I don't know whether or not it's just a really silly question, but I'm just trying to work out, because I quite like the line about stick candles against the virgin wall's white back. If they not burn, yet at the least they'll black. Is he saying basically that, like, if you try it on with somebody who's married, then even if they don't really go for it, you're still going to ruin their reputation? Or have I just totally got that around my neck?
I do not know.
Figure that out either.
Yeah. It's an excellent question.
He seems to be saying avoid temptation. I mean, don't, stay away from women. But then it's not clear if that's for their sake or your sake.
Oh, so maybe just, if you're not careful around married women, then your reputation will be ruined, theirs will be ruined. Just stay away from them in general, maybe.
Yeah. What I think is really interesting, actually, is the end of the scene where he seems to be talking really like the author. I mean, now getting close plots to work, the scene grows full, and craves his eyes who has a solid skull. I mean, that could mean him, but it could also mean the audience. The plot's getting really complicated, people. We got a lot of characters, so pay attention.
Yeah. Back to Briony briefly.
I presume that's just him with his big spoon, laughing and stirring everything, and it's all happening now. Well, hey.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, I was thinking about the relationship between Malevole and Mendoza, because at first Malevole seems to hate him and disregard him, and then when Mendoza says, "Oh, I'll see you tomorrow," Malevole says, "Yes, sir, you will." So I was wondering, is he a bit schizophrenic? He's he seems to hate him, but also do what he says.
I think it's part of the game that as a malcontent he can insult everyone, but the persona he's taken on is ultimately he wants to please on some level because he wants to be able to be still wandering around and having access to the court so he can do his business, as it were. So I mean, it's partly persona and that he's put on as Altofonte is pretending to be this figure of Malevole and enjoying it immensely. I think. I'll go to Lynn, then Rachael.
I feel like the Malcontent character type is a little like a kind of grouchy, a loud fool. The people let him say what he wants and be really rude because at least he's not a flatterer, right? At least he tells the truth. Oh, that's just how he is. So yeah, it's an unusual position in the court that the Malcontent says all this really disrespectful stuff. Oh, but that's just him. That's just how he is.
Rachael.
No, the little candle line. I wonder if that's a fancy way of saying where there's smoke, there's fire.
Or that any clear surface is going to attract dirt or something like that. So you can be as pure as you like, but if you're in a court full of vile people, it's going to rub off on you. That kind of thought. I don't know. I'm struggling a bit. Rachael.
Well, if it's a white wall and somebody's like, like if it's a freshly painted wall and that's an area where candles are, it's gonna leave that residue against it from where the smoke is rising, because they're, especially if somebody, that's where they have their candle holder or something after a while, just from the years. Poor ventilation, I guess, from that time.
Also the quality of the candles.
It's basically saying you can ruin a reputation quite easily. How far is Malevole what passes for the moral centre of the play? I mean, he's this exiled duke who's come back in disguise, and he's trying to kind of he's trying to kind of flush out the bad guys. That's what I'm kind of getting from this. So does he actually do anything wrong in this play that's really kind of despicable, or is he the one?
He hasn't yet,
right.
per se. I mean, he hasn't done things that are nice, but they're to his enemies. So weigh that one up. Alan.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is, the only commandment that this lot holds sacred is the 11th. Don't get caught.
Alan. Not Alan, Eric.
I was going to say that I did like the bit about sort of, yes, I'm going to go and become a churchman. And he's like, you a churchman? What's going on here? And then the other bit that I really liked was, yes, will you come to will it fall upon my chamber tomorrow morning? It's like, as a raven to a dunghill. So basically, probably not at all.
Right, we need to move on, go into the next scene. We're into Act 3, Scene 1. Enter the Duke, Pietro, as well as Mendoza, Equato, and Bilioso.
"'Tis grown to youth of day. How shall we waste this light? My heart's more heavy than a tyrant's crown. Shall we go hunt? Prepare for field."
Exit Equato.
Would ye could be merry?
"Would God I could. Mendoza bid them haste."
And exit Mendoza.
"I would fain shift place. Oh, vain relief! Sad souls may well change place, but not change grief. As deer being struck fly thorough many soils, yet still the shaft sticks fast, so..."
A good old simile, my honest lord.
"I am not much unlike to some sick man that long desired hurtful drink, at last swills in and drinks his last, ending at once both life and thirst. Oh, would I ne'er had known my own dishonour! Good God, that men should desire to search out that which, being found, kills all their joy of life, to taste the tree of knowledge and then be driven from out paradise. Canst give me some comfort?"
My lord, I have some books which have been dedicated to my honour, and I never read them, and yet they had very fine names. Physic for Fortune, Lozenges of Sanctified Sincerity, very pretty works of curates, scriveners, and schoolmasters. Marry, I remember one Seneca, Lucius Annaeus Seneca.
Out upon him! He writ of temperance and fortitude, yet lived like a voluptuous epicure, and died like an effeminate coward. Haste thee to Florence. Here, take our letters. See 'em sealed. Away! Report in private to the honored Duke his daughter's forced in disgrace. Tell him at length we know too much. Due compliments advance. There is naught that's safe, but sweets and but ignorance.
And exit the Duke. Enter Bianca.
Madam, I'm going ambassador for Florence. 'Twill be a great charges to me.
No matter, my lord. You have the lease of 2 manors come out next Christmas. You may lay your tenants on the greater rack for it, and when you come home again, I'll teach you how you shall get £200 a year by your teeth.
How, madam?
Cut off so much from housekeeping. That which is saved by the teeth, you know, is got by the teeth.
'Fore God, and so I may. I'm in wondrous credit, lady.
See the use of flattery. I did ever counsel you to flatter greatness, and you have profited well. Any man that will do so shall be sure to be like your Scotch barnacle, now a block, instantly a worm, and presently a great goose. This it is to rot and putrefy in the bosom of greatness.
Thou art ever my politician. Oh, how happy it is that old lord that hath a politician to his young lady. I'll have 50 gentlemen shall attend upon me. Marry, the most of them shall be farmers' sons, because they shall bear their own charges, and they shall go apparelled thus, in sea-water green suits, ash-coloured cloaks, watchet stockings, and popinjay green feathers. Will not the colours do excellent?
Out upon 't. They'll look like citizens riding to their friends at Whitsuntide. They're apparelled just so many several parishes.
I'll have it so, and Passarello, my fool, shall go along with me. Marry, he shall be in velvet.
A fool in velvet.
Aye, 'tis common for your fool to wear satin. I'll have mine in velvet.
What will you wear then, my lord?
Velvet too, marry, but it shall be embroidered, because I'll differ from the fool somewhat. I am horribly touched with the gout. Nothing grieves me but that my doctor hath forbidden me wine, and you know your ambassador must drink. Didst thou ask thy doctor what was good for the gout?
Yes, he said ease, wine, and women were good for it.
Nay, thou hast such a wit. What good could cure it, said he.
Why, the rack. All your empirics could never do the like cure upon the gout the rack did in England, or your Scotch boot. The French harlequin will instruct you.
Surely I do wonder how thou, having for the most part of thy lifetime been a country body, shouldst have so good a wit.
Who, I? Why, I have been a courtier thrice 2 months.
Well, so have I this 20 year, and yet there was a gentleman usher called me a coxcomb t'other day, and to my face too. Was not a backbiting rascal? Oh, I would I were better travelled, that I might have been better acquainted with the fashions of several countrymen. My secretary, I think, he hath sufficiently instructed me.
How, my lord?
Marry, my good lord, quoth he, your lordship shall ever find amongst 100 Frenchmen 40 hotshots, amongst 100 Spaniards 60 braggarts, amongst 100 Dutchmen 80 drunkards, amongst 100 Englishmen 80 madmen, amongst 100 Welshmen...
What, my lord?
80 gentlemen.
But since you go about a sad embassy, I would have you go in black, my lord.
Why? Dost thou think I cannot mourn unless I may wear my hat in cypress like an alderman's heir? That's vile, very vile, in faith.
I'll learn of you shortly. Oh, we should have a fine gallant of you. Should not I instruct you? How will you bear yourself when you come into the Duke of Florence court?
Proud enough, and 'twill do well enough. As I walk up and down the chamber, I'll spit frowns about me, have a strong perfume in my jerkin, let my beard grow to make me look terrible, salute no man beneath the 4th button, and 'twill do excellent.
But there is a very beautiful lady there. How will you entertain her?
I'll tell you that, when the lady hath entertained me. But to satisfy thee, here comes the fool.
Enter Passarello.
Fool, thou shalt stand for the fair lady.
Your fool will stand for your lady most willingly and most uprightly.
I'll salute her in Latin.
Oh, your fool can understand no Latin.
Aye, but your lady can.
Why, then, if your lady take down your fool will stand no longer for your lady.
A pestilent fool, 'fore God. I think the world be turned upside down too.
Oh, no, sir, for then your lady and all the ladies in the palace should go with their heels upward, and that were a strange sight, you know.
There be many will repine at my preferment.
Oh, aye, like the envy of an elder sister that hath her younger made a lady before her.
The Duke is wondrous discontented.
Aye, and more melancholic than a usurer having all his money out at the death of a prince.
Didst thou see Madame Floria today?
Yes, I found her repairing her face today. The red upon the white showed as if her cheeks should have been served in for 2 dishes of barberries in stewed broth, and the flesh to them a woodcock.
Bitter fool. Come, madam, this night thou shalt enjoy me freely, and tomorrow for Florence.
What a natural fool is he that would be a pair of bodice to a woman's petticoat, to be trussed and pointed to them. Well, I'll dog my lord, and the word is proper, for when I fawn upon him, he feeds me. When I snap him by the fingers, he spits in my mouth. If a dog's death were not strangling, I had rather be one than a serving man, for the corruption of coin is either the generation of a usurer or a lousy beggar.
And exeunt variously Bianca and Passarello. We'll pause there. Thoughts in the room about this little sequence, as it were? Rachael?
Is he being serious? That he's like, is I'm confused. So is he really just going to court dressed as a fool? Like dressed? I'm confused about this.
To be an idiot. That's how I was playing it.
Other thoughts in the room? Which he are we talking about, by the way?
I thought Bilioso is meant to be one of these kind of idiotic, kind of old courtiers, a bit like Polonius in Hamlet. Sorry. My first one came trying. Just have another reference.
Rachael?
Is this just pure comedy servant, but like instead of servant, it's just the old courtier guy? Like, is this like a sort of remix of a comedy servant scene?
Yeah, in the sense we've got a courtier, we've got a fool character there, and of course we've got Bianca as well. So we've got an interesting mix of various things going on there. Lynn, then Eric.
I think when Bilioso says something about I'll dress my fool in velvet, but mine will be embroidered velvet, so I'll be a little bit. I think he's being sarcastic. I mean, I think that's all banter. That's all joking. What strikes me about this scene is that it's kind of it's fairly long, or this exchange between Bianca and Bilioso, and in a very plot heavy play, it doesn't advance the plot really. So I think the question you need to ask yourself if you're producing this is like, what function does this scene have? Because, I mean, it's interesting, it's fun, it certainly is entertaining, and it would be really fun to interpret, like how parodic is it, what's the truth, what's sarcasm, but what's it doing for the play overall is kind of a question for me.
I'll go to Eric, then Lois.
I was going to say that he seems like a sort of doddering old person, but he's not really, because Bianca says, I've instructed you to do this, to sort of, to sort of flatter everybody and advance yourself that way. So there's a part of me going, well, maybe he's not as smart as we think he is, or whatever, or as smart as he thinks he is. But Bianca definitely sort of has. They've been conspiring as well, so no one is safe, kind of thing. If this was like sort of one of those murder mysteries, they would have all done
it. Lois.
Yeah, well, I mean, the scene doesn't advance the plot, but then neither does that long scene about the posset, which is really quite beautiful. I mean, Maquerelle's speech about how awful it is to be an old woman, and I mean, it just adds to a kind of atmosphere. It's also, I think, quite interesting. I mean, Bianca is the young wife of Bilioso, and she's also the one who teaches him everything, and he knows it. I mean, that's a very unusual situation. And they even seem to be bringing the fool in to help out. I mean, it's a complete reversal of social status. And I think probably when Bilioso says, I'll look different from the fool, this is probably one of these bits where he's unintentionally making himself look ridiculous. They won't think I'm the fool. Not much.
Yeah, I mean, the slight difference between this scene sequence here with Bianca and Passarello from the posset a bit earlier. Posset bit is sort of, it's structurally important because it gives you room for the murder setup to sort of occur, because there is something in play, and you need to sort of put some gaps to some business to allow that action to flow in. Whereas this is, and I think it's fair to say, Lynn, well done, congratulations, you have correctly identified the Webster addition to the text. So from the entrance of Bianca through to the exit of Passarello and Bianca, that is an addition that has been there to space out the play for the Globe. So it is an addition. It doesn't advance the plot for a very logical reason. Yeah. Congratulations for identifying that. That doesn't mean automatically we should, consider removing it. There may be things that we might want to do with it, but yeah, that is structurally correct.
Yes, I was just wondering that have we kind of had Bilioso and Bianca together before? I hadn't quite sort of twigged that she was they were definitely married. Sorry, that's probably clearer in performance. But
I don't know if they really interacted earlier. I think they might have been on together, but I don't think they did anything together, as it were. No. So yeah, it's.
Is this another kind of old cuckold joke? Sort of because it's the doddering old courtier who's got a kind of hot young wife, who's also got her head screwed on a lot more than he has.
I don't know if they're married or anything.
Sorry, I thought so.
Unless I missed that. Lois.
Yeah, it's the relationship of Castruccio and Giulia in The Duchess of Malfi, isn't it? Except that there she's not really giving him any advice. But I mean, Castruccio is a comic old courtier, and his wife is having it off with everybody.
So anyway, we're going to continue. Bilioso is still on stage, and enter Malevole in some frieze gown, while Bilioso reads his patent.
I cannot sleep. My eyes, ill neighbouring lids, will hold no fellowship. O thou pale sober night, thou that in sluggish fumes all sense dost steep, thou that givest all the world full leave to play, unbendest the feebled veins of sweaty labour, the galley slave, that all the toilsome day tugs at his oar against the stubborn wave, straining his rugged veins, snores fast, the stooping scytheman that doth barb the field, thou makest wink sure, in night all creatures sleep, only the malcontent, that gainst his fate repines and quarrels. Alas, he's a good man Telclock, his sallow jawbones sink with wasting moan, whilst others' beds are down, his pillows stone.
Malevole.
Elder of Israel, thou honest defect of wicked nature and obstinate ignorance, when did thy wife let thee lie with her?
I'm going to ambassador to Florence.
Ambassador? Now, for thy country's honour, prithee do not put up mutton and porridge in thy cloak bag. Thy young wife, lady wife, goes to Florence with thee too, does she not?
No, I leave her at the palace.
At the palace? Now, discretion shield, man, for God's love, Let's have no more cuckolds. Hymen begins to put off his saffron robe. Keep thy wife in the state of grace. Hard to true, I would sooner leave my lady singled in a bordello than in the Genoa palace. Sin, there appearing in her sluttish shape, would soon grow loathsome, even to blushes sense. Surfeit would choke intemperate appetite, make the soul scent the rotten breath of lust, when in an Italian lascivious palace, a lady guardianless, left to the push of all allurement, the strongest incitements to immodesty, to have her bound, incensed with wanton sweets, her veins filled high with heating delicates, soft rest, sweet music, amorous masquerades, lascivious banquets, sin itself guilt o'er, strong fantasy tricking up strange delights, presenting it dressed pleasingly to sense, sense leading it unto the soul, confirmed with potent examples, impudent custom, enticed by that great board, opportunity, thus being prepared, clap to her easy ear, youth in good clothes, well shaped, rich, fair spoken, promising, noble, ardent, bloodful, witty, flattering. Ulysses absent. Oh, Ithaca, can chastest Penelope hold out?
Mass, I'll think on it. Farewell.
Farewell. Take thy wife with thee. Farewell.
And exit Bilioso.
To Florence. It may prove good. It may. And we may once unmask our brows.
Enter Celso.
My honoured lord.
Celso, peace. How is it? Speak low. Pale fears suspect that hedges, walls, and trees have ears. Speak. How runs all?
In faith, my lord, that beast with many heads, the staggering multitude, recoils apace. Though thorough great men's envy, most men's malice, their much intemperate heat hath banished you. Yet now they find envy and malice ne'er produce faint reformation. The Duke, the too soft Duke, lies as a block for which two tugging factions seem to soar, but still the iron through the ribs they draw.
I tell thee, Celso, I have ever found thy breast most far from shifting cowardice and fearful baseness. Therefore, I'll tell thee, Celso, I find the wind begins to come about. I'll shift my suit of fortune. I know the Florentine, whose only force, by marrying his proud daughter to this prince, both banished me and made this weak Lord Duke, will now forsake them all. Be sure he will. I'll lie in ambush for conveniency, upon their severance to confirm myself.
Is Ferneze interred?
Of that at leisure, he lives.
But how stands Mendoza? How is it with him?
Faith, like a pair of snuffers, snibs filth in other men and retains it in himself.
He does fly from public notice, methinks, as a hare does from hounds. The feet whereon he flies betray him.
I can track him, Celso. Oh, my disguise fools him most powerfully. For that I see him a desperate malcontent. He fain would clasp with me. He's the true slave that will put on the most affected grace for some vile second cause.
He's here.
Give place.
Indeed, exit Celso, enter Mendoza. We will get to that in a moment, but having mentioned Mendoza, he of course appears. So, yeah, we're getting a little bit more backstory. It's becoming clearer. There's a sort of power behind the present Duke, so it sort of explains why we were saying yesterday, how did this guy, Pietro, how did he take over? Well, it was more that somebody else, he's more a puppet for somebody else who has proper power, and that's an interesting sort of little hint there. I was liking that. And yeah, so it's what we've got here is sort of effectively just a little catch up. You know, I just love the way Celso just keeps turning up, going, "My Lord Duke," just no shush every time. Nay of the Duke, nay.
I was going to say exactly.
Yeah, that should be a running gag. I hope it returns. Eric,
I was just going to ask. So Malevole / Alto Fronte that we discussed yesterday, is the former Duke of Florence. And okay, because we were in Genoa, but then we were talking about Florence, and then we jumped back to Genoa, and it's like, okay, what's going on?
No, I think Florence is the power behind this all.
Genoa.
So,
Okay.
he was Duke of it was of Genoa.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So it's basically sort of someone to control the rest of the area.
Yeah. So the Florentines have more power. I don't know the actual history of this. Lynn.
Yeah. So we haven't seen the Duke of Florence yet, but Aurelia, the Duchess, is his daughter. So what I was going to say is I just want to take a moment to admire the poetry in this passage. The first little bit that Malevole has, the idea that, the laborer sleeps sound while I can't sleep. I mean, that's kind of a cliche, but this is I think this is a great version of that. The language that's expressed in is just really compelling. And then he has another little bit. I mean, it's kind of disturbing, but his when he quite abruptly in the middle of a sentence shifts from prose to blank verse and talks about the temptations of the court and how you can't trust a young woman alone with everything that goes on. I just love the imagery and the language in those passages.
And he's presenting a slightly different face in this mood to Bilioso, because it's like he keeps the game up for a bit, but then he's clearly in this sort of mood there. It's like he's almost giving good advice. That can't happen. Elizabeth and Eric.
Yeah, just as Lynn was saying, I really love the "Take Your Wife" speech. I found it interesting that, is it Bilioso, wants to leave Bianca behind, even though he knows that there's like this cuckoldry happening in the court. I think that it's interesting that it's Malevole that gives the speech to say he should take her. I think it's interesting that he's the one that gives that speech, that Bilioso should take her with him. And I wonder why Bilioso would want to leave her in the first place.
Well, it's an interesting question of layers of production, because the scene we have with Bilioso and Bianca and the question mark of, they obviously have a relationship, but that's added later. So it's an interesting question. This is just a general speech that he's making to Bilioso when that bit is written. So I'm interested how developed that is later on in the play, and whether that's something that's a thread that gets picked up by Webster to say, we should make that more apparent because of the way that it flows. But yeah, it's a good point. It's Eric, then Rachael.
I was going to say, there's a part of me thinking he's probably actually referring to his own wife, or because we did get information that in the previous sort of section that we did yesterday, that yes, he sort of got deposed and his wife got sort of imprisoned, or I don't know which way around it was, but yeah, no, I would not leave my lady in the Genoa palace, basically. And he's like, this reason that he gives is not the reason he's urging him to do that, but yeah.
Yes, he's this whole question of his wife Maria, who has been mentioned. So it may be that's more what's on his mind there. Actually, don't do what I did, mate. Question mark. Rachael, then Briony.
No, I wonder if the part that Webster added is a little different than what was intended. I mean, I think there's some allusion there that she says they've only been married. She's only been at court 2 months. So I'm assuming their marriage is 2 months old. But that perhaps in the original, their Bilioso and her their marriage is even shorter than what has been added in for context. by saying that, you know, Hymen or something, maybe he's just married her and he's going off on a trip before, you know, having sex and consummating the marriage. Yeah.
I'd say I'm not sure whether Bilioso and Bianca are actually married. I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know if I don't know if I missed something in the text. They may be together on some level, but I'm not sure. Please contradict me because I might be wrong, but I'm just questioning whether that is the nature of their relationship. So do find data for me, Briony.
Also to that point, I think it was I can't remember what exactly it was she said, but I think it was like 3-2 score or something. So it's more than just 2 months, I think, but it is still just a matter of months. Oh, thrice 2 months, so 6 months, I guess. But yeah, so what was my point? I had one. Oh yeah, I really like the parting line because Malevole's like said all of this, you know, giving him lots of food for thought, and he says, okay, I'll definitely think about it. And then it's just the farewell, take thy wife with thee, farewell. Kind of, I just like the way that could be delivered.
Eric.
I was gonna say that bit is like, yes, Ulysses absent. Oh, Ithaca can trace Penelope hold out, and it's like, well, we know what happened there. But also, you kind of get the impression that after this long speech, you get like Bilioso is just saying, yeah, I'll think about it. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
I need to go.
He's really it's like that person on the other end of the phone, isn't it? Yeah. No, gotta bye. They just can't get away. We need to finish the scene because there is more to come. So Celso is out of sight at least, and enter Mendoza, who they've been talking about, and there are plans afoot for him. So Malevole speaks to Mendoza.
Illo, ho, ho, ho. Art there, old true penny? Where hast thou spent thyself this morning? I see flattery in thine eyes, and damnation in thy soul. Ha, ye huge rascal!
Thou art very merry.
As a scholar fuentes gratis, how does the devil go with thee now?
Volley, thou art an arrant knave.
Who I? I have been a sergeant man.
Thou art very poor.
As Job, an alchemist, or a poet.
The Duke hates thee.
As Irishmen do bumcracks.
Thou hast lost his amity.
As pleasing as maids lose their virginity.
Would thou wert of a lusty spirit? Wouldst thou wert noble?
Why, sure my blood gives me I am noble. Sure I am of noble kind, for I find myself possessed with all their qualities. Love dogs, dice, and drabs, scorn wit in stuff clothes, have beat my shoemaker, knocked my seamstress, cuckolded my apothecary, and undone my tailor. Noble, why not? Since the Stoics said, neminem servum non ex regibus, neminem regem non ex servis esse oriundum. Only busy fortune chooses, and the provident chances blend them together. I'll give you a simile. Did you e'er see a well with 2 buckets? Whilst one comes up full to be emptied, another goes down empty to be filled. Such is the state of all humanity. Why, look you, I may be the son of some duke, for, believe me, intemperate lascivious bastardy makes nobility doubtful. I have a lusty daring heart, Mendoza.
Let's grasp. I do like thee infinitely. Wilt enact one thing for me?
Shall I get by it?
And Mendoza gives him his purse.
Command me, I am thy slave, beyond death and hell.
Murder the Duke.
My heart's wish, my soul's desire, my fantasy's dream, my blood's longing, the only height of my hopes. How, oh God, how? Oh, how my united spirits throng together to strengthen my resolve.
Duke is now a hunting.
Excellent, admirable, as the devil would have it. Lend me rapier, pistol, crossbow. So, I'll do it.
Then we agree?
As Lent and fishmongers. Come, a capapi. How? Inform.
Know that this weak-brained duke, who only stands on Florence stilts, hath out of witness zeal made me his heir, and secretly confirmed the wreath to me after his life's full point.
Upon what merit?
Merit? By heaven, I horn him. Only Ferneze's death gave me state's life. Tut, we are politic. He must not live now.
No reason, marry. But how must he die now?
My utmost project is to murder the Duke, that I may have his state, because he makes me his heir, to banish the Duchess, that I might be rid of a cunning Laodician, because I know Florence will forsake her, and then to marry Maria, the banished Duke Alfred's wife, that her friends might strengthen me and my faction. That is all. La.
Do you love Maria?
Faith, no great affection, but as wise men do love great women, to ennoble their blood and augment their revenue. To accomplish this now, thus now, the Duke is in the forest next the sea. Single him, kill him, hurl him in the main, and proclaim thou sawest wolves eat him.
Not so good. Methinks when he is slain, to get some hypocrite, some dangerous wretch, that's muffled o'er with feigned holiness, to swear he had heard the Duke on some steep cliff, lament his wife's dishonour, and, in an agony of his heart's torture, hurled his groaning sides into the swollen sea. This circumstance, well made, sounds probable, and hereupon the Duchess
may well be banished. O unpeerable invention, rare, thou god of policy, it unease me.
Then fear not for the wife of Altafront. I'll close to her.
Thou shalt. Our Excellency is pleased. Why wert thou not an emperor, when we, a duke, I'll make thee some great man, sure?
Nay, make me some rich knave, and I'll make myself some great man.
In thee be all my spirit. Retain 10 souls. Unite thy virtual powers. Resolve. Ha! Remember greatness. Heart, farewell. The fate of all my hopes in thee doth dwell.
And exit Mendoza, re-enter Celso.
Celso, didst hear? O heaven, didst hear such devilish mischief? Sufferest thou the world, carouse damnation even with greedy swallow, and still dost wink, still does thy vengeance slumber? If now thy brows are clear, when will they thunder?
And they exit. So, Mendoza is he's got some plans here. So, not only does he want the Duke murdered, he's going to throw over the person he's been plotting with and planning on marrying, because he's going, well, actually, politically, it's not as good as it looks. So he's going to go for the other spare Duchess that is available, Mariah, who, of course, happens to be the wife of the person he's talking to. And, of course, he offers this interesting temptation, because, of course, he says, murder the Duke, and he's going, my heart's wish. Sole purpose of visit from the disguised Duke Altofonte. So yeah, it's full of lovely ironies, this scene. All sorts of fun stuff going on. Thoughts from the room, Lynn?
This sort of bonus creepiness. It's not my impression that the Genoese court assumes that Altafront is dead. He's just exiled. So it's not his widow that Mendoza wants to marry. It's his wife.
Yeah, doesn't care.
Like creepy cherry on top of the creepy sundae. Like, it's like, he's gone, so I'll just marry her. Like, ew.
Yeah, just doesn't care. That's Mendoza. This guy, we met him earlier. He was writing a sonnet.
About Emilia.
Yeah, he was writing love poetry earlier. And he was even reciting it.
Yeah. You know, it makes one wonder, who's the malcontent here?
Rachael, I think.
No, I wonder how much of this plan like would sound like crap to people from back then, because I think Aurelia says at one point that she has something to do with the Medici, and just assuming Florence and the Medici wouldn't care about her anymore after this plot, after he hires somebody to kill them. So I'm confused how he's going to pin it on her.
Well, he just knows Florence will forsake her. He's made a political judgment. Just because she said, she's, they were saying she's really in earlier, doesn't mean it's true. And of course, Mendoza might be wrong. There's a lot of upstarts in history who've said this rebellion these people will back me, and then die horribly. Sarah.
Yeah, it's just a really small thing, but I in terms of Mendoza and his ability to plot, I did love that thing where he's talking about the Duke and he's like, oh yeah, just kill him, hurl him, proclaim he was eaten by wolves, and Malevole just goes, not so good. It's like that's just a rubbish plan. Let's just come up with a better plan.
Which is a bit odd, because he was quite good at planning murders earlier.
Yeah.
He acted it out and everything. Eric.
Yeah, but he failed to murder Ferneze. So
true, he didn't deliver the coup de grace, did he? He just but he doesn't know that, of course.
Yeah. Also, I just like the idea that Malevole goes into all this detail about sort of yes, and so you shall say that he was so sad he threw himself off a cliff because he was so tortured with grief, and he goes into this elaborate detail about that, and then basically they're gonna push him off a cliff, I'm guessing. I mean, they're gonna push me off a cliff.
Single him, kill him, hurl him over the main, and proclaim thou sawest wolves eat him is the initial suggestion, as I say. But yeah, as Sarah said, not so good. Not so good. It's a very modern line, that, isn't it? Not so good. Maybe not. Okay, we need to move on to the next scene. Act 3, Scene 2, sometimes labelled differently. Enter Pietro, Ferrardo, Prepasso, and 3 pages. 3. I promise you 3.
The dogs are at a fault.
Cornets like horns within should have preceded that, probably.
Would God nothing but the dogs were at it. Let the deer pursue safety, the dogs follow the game, and do you follow the dogs? As for me, 'tis unfit one beast should hunt another. I hath one chaseth me, and it please you, I would be rid of ye a little.
Would your grief would, as soon as we, leave you to quietness.
I thank you.
And exeunt Ferrardo and Prepasso.
Boy, what dost thou dream of now?
Of a dry summer, my lord, for here's a hot world towards. But, my lord, I had a strange dream last night.
What strange dream?
Why, methought I pleased you with singing, and then I dreamt that you gave me that short sword.
Prettily begged. Hold thee, I'll prove thy dream true. Take it.
And gives the sword.
My duty. But still I dreamt on, my lord, and methought, and it shall please your excellency, you would needs out of your royal bounty give me that jewel in your hat.
Oh, thou didst but dream, boy. Do not believe it. Dreams prove not always true. They may hold in a short sword, but not in a jewel. But now, sir, you dreamed you had pleased me with singing. Make that true, as I had made the other.
Faith, my lord, I did but dream, and dreams, you say, prove not always true. They may hold in a good sword, but not a good song. The truth is, I have lost my voice.
Lost thy voice? How?
With dreaming, faith. But here's a couple of sirenical rascals shall enchant ye. What shall they sing, my good lord?
Sing of the nature of women, and then the song shall be surely full of variety, old crotchets and most sweet closes. It shall be humorous, grave, fantastic. Amorous, melancholy, sprightly, one in all and all in one.
All in one.
By Our Lady, too many. Sing, my speech grows culpable of unthrifty idleness. Sing, so, sing.
And there's a beautiful song by the second and third pages.
I'm heavy. Walk off. I shall talk in my sleep. Walk off.
And exit the pages. Enter Malevole with crossbow and pistol.
Brief. Who? The Duke. Good heaven, that fool should stumble upon greatness. Do not sleep, Duke. Give ye good morrow. I must be brief, Duke. I am feed to murder thee. Start not. Mendoza hired me. Here's his gold, his pistol, crossbow and sword. 'Tis all as firm as earth. Oh, fool, choked with the common maze of easy idiot's credulity, make him thine heir. What, thy sworn murderer?
Oh, can it be?
Can.
Discovered he not Ferneze?
Yes, but why? For love to thee, much, to be revenged upon his arrival, who had thrust his jaws awry, who being slain, supposed by thine own hands, defended by his sword, made thee most loathsome, him most gracious with thy loose princess. Thou, closely yielding egress and regress to her, madest him heir, whose hot unquiet lust straight towels thy sheets, and now would seize thy state. Politician, wise man, death, to be led to the stake like a bull by the horns, to make even kindness cut a gentle throat. Life, why art thou numbed? Thou foggy dullness, speak. Lives not more faith in a home-thrusting tongue than in these fence-tip-tap courtiers.
And enter Celso with a hermit's gown and beard.
Lord Malevole, if this be true...
If? Come, shade thee with this disguise. If thou shalt handle it, he shall thank thee for killing thyself. Come, follow my directions, and thou shalt see strange sleights.
World, whither wilt thou?
Why, to the devil. Come, the morn grows late. A steady quickness is the stole of state.
And they exit. A lot of stuff going on here. I love the bit with the page. You know, my lord, give me... I mean, there's a bit when the lord says, you know, I dreamt you gave me your sword. And I was going, oh no, someone's hired the page as the secret assassin. It's all going to go pear-shaped. And no, it's just just this thing of, you know, I also dreamt you give me a hat. No, dreams don't always come true. I love that. I think it's such a sweet little encounter, and it's really nice. And of course, it gives them a cue to have a song because, you know, it starts off as a boys' company play because that's what happens. And yeah, it gives you a moment before Malevole comes in and messes up the scene. Eric.
Yeah, but also that's a little bit with the first page and Pietro. It's basically a reflection of like that scene we had yesterday with Maquerelle and Ferneze going sort of. And yes, you. Mendoza is cheating on you by that ruby and that pearl and all that stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, it doesn't quite work for the page yet because he's not very well trained in this kind of shenanigans.
And then Pietro is told a tale by that he's there to murder him, but he has a cunning plan. It's particularly cunning with a disguise to be a hermit, and Pietro just goes, "Well, okay." I mean, it's very quick. It has to be said. I mean, I think that's where the stuff with the page is quite important. Otherwise, the scene would be too short. It needs some other stuff to give weight to this plot development that's being thrown at us. So yeah, Pietro's going off in disguise. Cunning. Eric.
I was just wondering about that line. "'Tis unfit one beast should hunt another." It's like, what? So basically, I'm not going to join in the hunt because I'm above it all kind of thing, or is that just sort of I'm just an idiot sort of to in this context?
Lois.
Yeah, I'm a horned beast. I'm a cuckold. I mean, it's the usual thing, really. And therefore, because I am a cuckold, I shouldn't be hunting other beasts.
And, he's generally, he's not had a good couple of days.
But it was his idea. Let's go hunting. Prepare the field, and then
he's to try and cheer himself up, but he's just not cheer upable at the moment. Rachael.
How the scene is, the hunting is about the cuckoldry and that he's got horns and not the beast, not to kill beasts with horns. I mean, in John Oldcastle last week, we had a hunting scene, and then in 2 tragedies in 1, we had hunting scenes. And I wonder if that's a certain motif that, a hunting scene is some sort of ominous thing where somebody's going to get killed. And this is a riff, a little bit of a riff off that. And that there's, that he's not going to get killed, and it's like a red herring, and it's just a cuckold joke, where usually it would be a murder thing.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. There's been quite a few hunting accidents in history. Going all the way back to William Rufus. Yeah, it was an accident. Absolutely, nobody murdered him. It might have been. Who knows? Lois.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're probably popular in drama because it's fairly easy to get the effect with the hunting horns, the sounds of horns and people running across the stage wearing green and, trying to look like hunters. There are an awful lot of plays with hunting scenes, yeah.
Lynn, muted at present.
And it was a big aristocratic pastime. I mean, the noblemen spent a lot of time hunting, is my impression, too, so... we need Helen to tell us like how that hunting fit into the culture. But yeah, it was a very popular aristocratic pastime, is my understanding.
I don't know whether it's particularly Genoese pastime, but I don't think that matters for the logic of the play. I genuinely don't know. Sarah, then Eric.
I don't want to stray too far off the main track, but in fairy tale tropes, like the hunting is the thing that takes you into the forest, and the forest is the place where transformations occur. So you entering the forest is always kind of fraught with both danger and possibility. You never leave the forest the same person that you were when you went in. So I guess that could be partly where the hunting trope comes from, the fact that things happen to you when you go into the forest to hunt and you come out a different person, or you don't come out at all if someone notices you.
Well, no, I mean, that's really good for this scene because, Pietro literally is coming out disguised as somebody else. So that idea of transformation is really, I really like that, yeah. Eric, I think, next.
I was going to say that, also to the comment about, like, hunting in Genoa and stuff, I mean, that they did mention mutton and porridge for Florence, and I don't know how popular that was in Florence. Also, there's this bit where we keep getting like sort of timestamps because like at the end of I think it was like end of Act 3, Scene 1 or something. They went, yes, it will be dawn soon, and things will start happening. And then like in the next scene, Pietro goes, yes, and tis drawn upon the youth of morn or something, or day, or whatever the line is. And then here we've got, come, the morn grows late. So it's like, is this all in 24 hours or what's going on here?
Yeah, no, the sense of time is really nicely marked, yes. I don't know what the precise span of the play overall is, whether it is that precise, but it's happening all quite quickly. That gives you some design options, because if we know what the time is, we know what the lighting should look like. Elizabeth.
Yeah, I wanted to speak to Malevole's almost his eagerness to do the crime, to kill the Duke. He carries a rapier, a pistol, a crossbow, and a sword. And I think the plan is to push the Duke anyway. I just thought it was quite funny to me that he had so many different weapons to do this crime with when the plan was to push the Duke in the first place.
Yeah, and again, it's that thing of how much of this is deliberately just all for comic effect, and it's just a great image. It'll get a laugh. And also, is there a moment where Malevole might be tempted, because he does really not like the Duke himself? I mean, for good reasons. Even if this Duke isn't a particularly terrible person by the standards of the court in a weird way. But that's not saying much, by the way. By the standards of the court is one hell of a qualifier.
Yeah. Well, also, Mendoza had the rapier before, but failed to kill Ferneze. So it's like how he's trying to be prepared. Clearly, you have to be prepared for these things.
Yeah, if you're gonna do it, make sure you get all the kill shots in, Sarah, and then we move on.
Is it not just as well, partly that he really just wants to persuade Pietro that Mendoza wants to have him murdered? It's like he turns up with all the weapons just to put the fear of God in him, and like, oh my God, look at me, I'm an assassin, I've been sent to kill you, I have all the weapons.
And a receipt. I've got the murder order here. Could you just sign? That'll be good. I tried to murder you, but you were out. Anyway, so let us move on to Act 4, Scene 1, and everybody's favourite. Enter Maquerelle doing some knocking at a lady's door.
Madam, are you stirring, madam? If you be stirring, madam, if I thought I should disturb ye.
And enter a page.
My lady is up, forsooth.
Oh, pretty boy. Faith, how old are you?
I think 14.
Nay, and you be in the teens. Are you gentleman born? Do you know me? My name is Madame Maquerelle. I lie in the old Cunny Court.
See, here are the ladies.
Enter Bianca and Emilia.
A fair day to ye, Maquerelle.
Is the Duchess up yet, Sentinel?
Oh, ladies, the most abominable mischance. Oh, dear ladies, the most piteous disaster. Ferneze was taken last night in the Duchess's chamber. Alas, the Duke catched him and killed him.
Was he found in bed?
Oh, no, but the villainous certainty is the door was not bolted, the tongue-tied latch held his peace, so the naked troth is he was found in his shirt, whilst I, like an arrant beast, lay in the outward chamber, heard nothing, and yet they came by me in the dark, and I felt them not, like a senseless creature as I was. Oh, beauties, look to your busk points, if not chastely, then charily. Be sure the door be bolted. Is your lord gone to Florence?
Yes, Maquerelle.
I hope you'll find the discretion to purchase a fresh gown for his return. Now, by my troth, beauties, I would have you once wise. He loves ye, pish. He is witty, bubble. Fair proportioned, near. Nobly born, wind. Let this still be your fixed position. Esteem me, every man according to his good gifts, and so ye shall ever remain most worthy to be, most dear ladies.
Is the Duke returned from hunting yet?
They say not yet.
'Tis now in midst of day.
How bears the Duchess with this blemish now?
Faith, boldly, strongly defies defame, as one that has a duke to her father. And there's a note to you. Be sure of a stout friend in a corner, that may always awe your husband. Mark the behaviour of the Duchess now. She dares defame, cries, Duke, do what thou canst, I'll quit mine honour. Nay, as one confirmed in her own virtue against 10,000 mouths that mutter her disgrace, she's presently for dances.
For dances?
Most true.
Most strange.
Enter Ferrardo.
See, it's Emilia.
Oh, see, here's my servant, young Ferrardo. How many servants thinkest thou I have, Maquerelle?
The more the merrier. 'Twas well said, use your servants as you do your smocks. Have many, use one, and change often, for that's most sweet and court-like.
Save ye, fair ladies. Is the Duke returned?
Sweet sir, no voice of him as yet in court.
'Tis very strange.
And how like you my servant, Maquerelle?
I think he could hardly draw Ulysses' bow, but by my fidelity, were his nose narrower, his eyes broader, his hands thinner, his lips thicker, his legs bigger, his feet lesser, his hair blacker, and his teeth whiter, he were a tolerable sweet youth, i' faith. And he will come to my chamber. I will read him the fortune of his beard.
Sound cornets within.
Not yet returned. I fear but the Duchess approacheth.
Enter Mendoza supporting Aurelia and Guerrino. The ladies that are on the stage rise. Ferrardo ushers in Aurelia and then takes a lady to tread a measure.
We will dance. Music, we will dance.
Les cuento, lady. Pensez bien Passarello's or Bianca's brawl.
We have forgot the brawl.
So soon? 'Tis wonder.
Why, 'tis but 2 singles on the left, 2 on the right, 3 doubles forward, a traverse of 6 round. Do this twice, 3 single sides, galliard trick of 20, quaranto pace. A figure of 8, 3 singles broken down, come up, meet, 2 doubles, full back, and then honor.
Oh, Daedalus, thy maze, I have quite forgot it.
Trust me, so have I, saving the falling back and then the honour.
Music, music.
Enter Prepasso, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Who saw the Duke? The Duke!
Music.
Enter Equato.
The Duke? The Duke has returned?
Music.
Enter Celso.
The Duke is either quite invisible or else is not.
We are not pleased with your intrusion upon our private retirement. We are not pleased. You have forgot yourselves.
Enter a page.
Boy, thy master, where's the Duke?
Alas, I left him burying the earth with his spread jointless limbs. He told me he was heavy and would sleep and bade me walk off, and for that the strength of fantasy oft made him talk in his dreams. I straight obeyed, nor ever saw him since, but wheresoe'er he is, he sat. Music, sound high as our heart, sound high.
Enter Malevole and Pietro, disguised like a hermit.
The Duke, peace. The Duke is dead.
Music.
Is it music?
Give proof.
Oh,
Where?
When?
Rest in peace, as the Duke does, quietly sit. For my own part, I beheld him but dead. That's all. Marry, here's one can give you a more particular account of him.
Speak, Holy Father, nor let any brow within this presence fright thee from the truth. Speak confidently and freely.
We attend.
Now had the morning's mounting sun's all ripening wings swept the cold sweat of night from earth's dank breast, when I, whom men call hermit of the rock, forsook myself and clambered up a cliff, against whose base the heady Neptune dashed his high-curled brows. There 'twas I eased my limbs, when lo! My entrails melted with the moan. Someone who far above me was climbed did make. I shall offend.
Not
On.
Methinks I hear him yet. Oh, female faith! Go sow the ingrateful sand and love a woman, and do I live to be the scoff of men, to be the whittle cuckold, even to hug my poison? Thou knowest, O truth, sooner heart steel will melt with southern wind, a seaman's whistle calm the ocean, a town on fire be extinct with tears, than women bowed to blushless impudence, with sweet behavior and soft minioning will turn from that where appetite is fixed. O powerful blood, how dost thou slave their soul? I washed an Ethiop who for recompense sullied my name, and must I then be forced to walk, to live thus black? Must, fie! He that can bear with must, he cannot die. With that he sighed so passionately deep, that even the dull air even groaned. At last he cries, sink, shame in seas, sink deep enough, so dies. For then I viewed his body fall, and souse into the foamy main. Oh, I saw that which methinks I see. It was the Duke, whom straight the nicer stomached sea belched up. But then
Then came I in, but alas, all was too late, for even straight he sunk.
such was the Duke's sad fate. A better fortune to our Duke Mendoza.
And
Mendoza!
And cornets flourish.
A guard! A guard!
Enter a guard.
We, full of hearty tears for our good father's loss, for so we may well call him, who did beseech your loves our succession, cannot so lightly overjump his death, as leave his woes revengeless. Woman of shame, we banish thee forever to the place from whence this good man comes, nor permit on death unto thy body any ornament, but base as was thy life. Depart away!
Ungrateful!
Away!
Villain, hear me!
Begone!
And Prepasso and Guerrino lead away, Aurelia guarded.
My lords, addressed to public council, 'tis most fit. The train of fortune is borne up by wit. Away! Our presence shall be sudden. Haste!
All depart except for Mendoza, Malevole, and Pietro.
Now, you egregious devil, ha, ye murdering politician, how dost Duke, how dost look now, brave Duke in faith?
How did you kill him?
Slatted his brains out, then soused him in the briny sea.
Brained him and drowned him too?
Oh, 'twas best, sure work, for he that strikes a great man, let him strike home, or elsewhere, he'll prove no man, shoulder not a huge fellow, unless you may be sure to lay him in the kennel.
A most sound brain pan. I'll make you both emperors.
Make us Christians, make us Christians.
I'll hoist ye. Ye shall mount.
To the gallows, say ye? Come, premium incertum petit certum scellus. How stands the progress?
Here, take my ring unto the citadel.
And gives a ring.
Have entrance to Maria, the grave Duchess, of banished Alterfront. Tell her we love her. Omit no circumstance to grace our present person. Do it.
I'll make an excellent pander. Duke, farewell. Adieu, adieu, Duke.
Take Maquerelle with thee, for 'tis found none cuts a diamond but a diamond.
Exit Malevole.
Hermit, thou art a man for me, my confessor. O thou selected spirit born for my good, sure thou wouldst make an excellent elder in a deformed church. Come, we must be inward, thou and I all one.
I'm glad I was ordained for you.
Go to then. Thou must know that Malevole is a strange villain. Dangerous, very dangerous. You see how Broader speaks, a gross-jawed rogue. I would have thee poison him. He's like a corn upon my great toe. I cannot go for him. He must be cawed out. He must. We'll do it, huh?
Anything. Anything.
Heart of my life. Thus then, to the citadel. Thou shalt consort with this Malevole. There being at supper, poison him. He shall be laid upon Maria, who yields love or dies. Send quick.
Like lightning, good deeds crawl, but mischief flies.
And exit Pietro. Re-enter Malevole.
Your devilship's ring has no virtue. The buff captain, the sallow Westphalian gammon-faced Zaza cries, stand out, must have a stiffer warrant, or no pass into the castle of comfort.
Command our sudden letter. Not enter. Shade. What place is there in Genoa but thou shalt? Into my heart, into my very heart, come. Let's love. We must love, we two, soul and body.
How didst like the hermit, a strange hermit, Cyril?
dangerous fellow, very perilous. He must die.
Aye, he must die.
Thou'st kill him. We are wise. We must be wise.
And provident.
Yea, provident. Beware an hypocrite. A churchman once corrupted or void. A fellow that makes religion his stalking horse. He breeds a plague. Thou shalt poison him.
Oh, 'tis wondrous necessary. How?
You both go jointly to the citadel. There sup. There poison him, and Maria, because she is our opposite, shall bear the sad suspect, on which she dies or loves us.
I run.
And exit Malevole.
We that are great, our soul self good still moves us. They shall die both, for their deserts crave more than we can recompense. Their presence still embraids our fortunes with beholdingness, which we abhor. Like deed, not doer, then conclude. They live not to cry out ingratitude. One stick burns t'other. Steel cuts steel alone. Oh, good trust few, but oh, 'tis best trust none.
Exit Mendoza. I mean, it's a great scene of so many things, so many things. I just love the way the court listens to the story of Pietro as death, and they all go, this is very sad. New Duke! It's literally, there is nothing between that sentiment and what comes next. There are a couple of problematic things in there, which we can discuss. But yeah, everyone wants to murder well, Mendoza wants everybody dead, basically. And they wants them to all murder each other, hopefully simultaneously. Lynn, then Briony.
I'm just wowed by the dramaturgy and the deep ironies here. So we have this theme. Pietro doesn't say much in this little passage, but we have three dukes. We have Altofront, who's the real duke, who's the legit duke, and his usurper dressed as a hermit, and his would-be murderer usurper Mendoza, and they don't know who each other is. We have three dukes. And then when Malevole says, "Adieu, Duke, adieu, Duke," he says it twice because there's two dukes there. Yeah, and then Altofront probably, of course, wants both of them dead, and Mendoza wants both of the other two dead. And so, I mean, the machinations here are really sort of brilliant. The dramaturgy is just amazing.
And, it's all within, and it's set up with Maquerelle, etc., sizing up a page in a really creepy, disturbing way, but a brilliant bit. But that little section is not unimportant because it's setting up what's going on with Aurelia, who's just going, everything's fine, we're having dancing. Everything's fine. Everything is fine. And then we have these 1 word or 2 word bits. The Duke is dead. Music. Good. How? When? Where? And it's just, it's dancing all over the place, doing all sorts of really ungrateful away. Villain, hear me. Be gone.
Yeah. And that description of the overly complicated dance. Is that not a metaphor for what's going on here? Is the overly complicated dance.
Or the fact that no one knows the steps, actually do it.
I've forgotten.
Or it's just a very, very long setup for Maquerelle's joke about falling back. It could just be long setup for one gag as well. So it's doing all sorts of things because it is, Eric.
I was just trying to channel all the dance teachers that I've ever, whenever I've gone to class and sort of been a bit lost, and sort of they just go 1, 6, 7, 8 and tap, and you're like, what the hell is going on? I don't know. But I don't know if that came across because of random words. It felt very sort of like no one really knows this, and also it's called Bianca's Brawl. Like there is a Bianca in the room, isn't it?
Briony.
I really like that idea that Lynn's just floated about, whether it was intentional or not, but the fact that it all does resemble this crazy dance that nobody really knows the steps to. But yeah, I love that idea. I also what I noticed big time in this was just that they've let into the court and taken the word of some random hermit. Like that's a bit like some hobo turning up at the palace and saying, you know, like somebody's dead. It just a bit mental. And then the fact that he gets to deliver the description of his own supposed death, apart from the little bit of horrible casual racism in there, that was like a really nice moment with him getting to do that. But yeah, what a vibrant, awesome scene. I bet that would be amazing to see it actually on its feet.
Yeah, it did, and it's a scene that speech is drawing off a bit of Orlando Furioso as well. So it's also it's got a literary reference in it as well that the audience may or may not know. I mean, this whole text is peppered with that kind of in joke that you can get or you don't have to get. And yeah, I mean, there's also that sort of element of how much has Mendoza set up this scene as well. So it doesn't, you know, so long as Mendoza believes the story and he's got a room full of guards, or etc., then it doesn't matter if it's true. You know, to everyone else, they're just going, okay, this is the new political reality. We will move on. Of which they do. Sarah.
Briony kind of almost made my point for me, and then you as well with the Orlando Furioso reference. But I was, even if the audience don't get the reference, what occurred to me about that, and it was kind of like fortified by the way Eric read it, was you can imagine that even if they don't get the reference in the speech, the way the actor who's playing Pietro performs this, he could turn this into a big, fruity monologue. I mean, you know, I'm thinking about it in terms of, make it like Garrick, but obviously Garrick was a lot later. But like whoever was the big, you know, actor at the time who was strutting around on stage declaiming, I mean, you could absolutely turn this into something really comic by making it this kind of, you know, super tragic. I am being tragical now. I am telling the tale of this man's death. And then, of course, it's actually him. It's his death that he's relating. I just think that could have been a really funny in joke. And yeah, I also noted the really strange and unnecessary bit in the middle. It's obviously problematic, and we perhaps want to cut.
It's following on within the logic of the play. It's following on from the logic of the candle and the white surface being blackened. It's something we've come up with a lot as this sort of beauty standard, as well as this question of blackness, whiteness. It's trimmable. What's nice also is that Pietro is stopped by Malevole. He's in total raptures with his own performance.
Yeah. And then I came in.
Then I came in. Shut up. Stop padding your part. Have you not figured out who is the most important actor in this room? Said Burbage. Lois.
Yes, I was going to make that point too, but also the fact that, I mean, Pietro's name obviously is Peter, and he says he's the hermit of the rock, and this is clearly another little private joke of his, perhaps. I mean, that's one of the oldest puns known. Thou art Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, because Petrus means Peter, and petrified, etc.
You know, had visions, which is very like Pietro's performance here. Eric.
I just liked the sort of, obviously you get a lot of oh my god and that kind of thing, but also the last one before Malevole interrupts, he goes, oh, then I saw that which methinks I see it was the Duke, and then you get this lovely line, whom straight the nicer stomach to see belched up, as opposed to like sort of, you know, before you had this elaborate description of Neptune and his curls and that kind of thing, and then you get this line about, basically the sea burped him up.
Yeah, he came up, and then Velu just immediately goes, and then he sank. Definitely sank. Body will never be found. Hint, hint. Other thoughts before we go into final thoughts? Elizabeth, did you wave earlier? No. Cool. Okay, I'll go back to Eric and then I'll go around the room for final thoughts.
I was going to say that it's interesting how Mendoza actually seems weirdly trusting of the people he talks to. He's like, yes, and, come here and I will tell you something in private. And then you will go and murder this person. And he expects that is going to be carried out, it seems.
Well, I mean, to a degree, unless he kills them himself, he hasn't got much choice but to trust them, because he doesn't trust them because he wants them dead. I mean, it's a sort of circular logic you can get trapped in. But yeah, having the murderers kill themselves off is not unusual in plays as well. So, but it does it very dynamically. Briony.
It's a really, really fast turnaround with this ring business as well. In terms of he's supposed to be going to some other place with the ring to get in, and he comes back like a few lines later, like, no, that didn't work.
The bouncer was very strict, and I looked too young. And I didn't have my fake ID. He didn't believe me.
Fake ID.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's partly. I think it's just a structural thing, is in the sense that he will be going there in a bit, but they need Mendoza to tell him to do the other murder element. So it's a bit contrived, which is why it's a bit weird. Lynn.
Yeah, and the other contrivance that's not really working, but oh well, just keep up the pace and people won't pay attention, is that Mendoza wants to pin the poisoning of his two agents on Mariah, the Duke's incarcerated wife. Like, why would she? How would you do that? Like, why? What would her motivation be? But oh well, or basically, I'll accuse her of it, and unless she agrees to marry me, I'll pin the poisoning on her somehow. That's not very persuasive, but oh well.
You get the impression that Mendoza's really improvising at the moment, and that it'll all sort itself out later. Probably, perhaps. Who knows? Okay, let's go around the room for final thoughts. Elizabeth, getting to be Burbage again today, but in the role that he was playing rather than being Burbage himself. Any final thoughts?
I've really enjoyed the play. I'm really enjoying it so far. I think the three characters that really jumped out at me are the three M's: Malevole, Mendoza, and Maquerelle. I just thought that the play is building up to a climax. I'm hoping more people die, because I think it's this really intriguing to see how the sort of the murderousness of the characters kind of comes to the fore. I'm hoping for more death. So that's my final thought for today.
Yes, so far, nobody's actually died. The only person who we thought was dead didn't actually die. So, a lot of shuffling of cards, but nobody's been taken out of the deck. Sarah, you were offered parts that were quite hollow. Apologies for that.
No, it was lovely. It was lovely to be here and read it. I love this play. I don't really have anything very intelligent or interesting to say. I'm just, other than the occasional bit of casual racism, there's nothing about it that I don't love. It's exactly my kind of play, and I really hope the curse of the final session doesn't descend. I mean, because the other thing is, it's just I'm aware as we're reading it that there's probably a lot of jokes in there that I am not getting, so that it would be even funnier if I was getting those jokes, but even without me getting them, it's still hilarious. And I also like the fact that it's so cynical, but it does have these moments of heart in it, just to keep it anchored to reality. Like that scene between Pietro and the page. It was a funny little throwaway moment, but it also showed it made Pietro quite endearing in that moment. So then you're actually slightly invested in him not being murdered when and then when he becomes the hermit and starts talking about his own death, because you've had that little moment of niceness and emotion. It kind of adds an extra layer to the comedy, I think.
Though, of course, what happens to the page after it encounters Maquerelle is anybody's guess. I don't think we've properly delved into the professional assessment of the young lad there that she gives, which is because it's like the first line you sort of go, is this going where? Oh, so it is,
it's
right.
Definitely going where. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Lois, any final thoughts?
No, I'm enjoying it, but I mean, the less I say, the better, I think.
Tomorrow is your day. Lalitte, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I wish I could have done a French accent from Rachael. I'm not actually very good at doing French in English, because that would have been fun. Yeah, the language is very ripe. I think that's something I'm really enjoying. You literally smell this play, and that's something quite incredible. I haven't made up my mind what I think of the sexual politics. I mean, I think there's, as with a lot of these plays, I think that the men are actually just terrified of the women. You know, it's like their whole kind of self-security is based on kind of controlling the women, and they know they can't control them, so they kind of assert their kind of desire to control them even more, and the women just kind of maneuver their way around it. And I like Maquerelle's kind of solidarity with the other women. She's always saying, "Oh, I'll give you this tip, and I'll give you that tip, and we're in this together." Yeah.
Alan, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm still not really getting into it. I mean, there's some beautiful language. I think part of the thing is that because the stoppy-starty way that we do these first looks, we end up spending too much time trying to work out where the plot's going. And I think when played at pace, an awful lot of it would just sort of whiz by you, and you wouldn't even notice the discontinuities. But it's at the moment, it just doesn't seem to be hanging together to me as a piece.
Yes, because there are some discontinuities of which we've tangentially alluded, but they are very, very minor. Lynn, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I was just sort of more locally, I was thinking about that moment when Mendoza gives his ring to Malevole and says, "Go to the tower," or whatever, the Italian equivalent of it, and tell Maria I want to marry her. And you said something about he's vamping, he's improvising. It's just like he's so desperate that he's coming up with these bizarre plans of poison everybody and try to convince Maria he's going to have her accused of it. So I mean, I think you could make that moment work by making it clear that he's kind of grasping at straws at that point. So I think there's a way to play that. But just overall, I've changed my mind from yesterday. I said something about I like Malevole so much, I kind of want it to work out for him. But now I'm with Elizabeth. I just want everybody dead. Let's just have a Revengers tragedy end where everyone kills everyone, and we have bodies 3 deep on the stage, and it's just carnage. I think that ending would be more in keeping with what is going on so far. So you'll see.
So kill everyone. Rachael, final thoughts?
No, yeah, I do enjoy a lot of the characters in this. I did enjoy doing Bianca today. I enjoyed Maquerelle. I enjoyed Malevole and Mendoza and a lot of the interactions in between people in this like dark comedy atmosphere. And I feel I'm a bit more tuned in today to whatever this to what the text is saying. Like I've gotten a little more used to this jump and this gap in the language. The part with the racism, that just pulls, I think that would just pull an audience right out of the scene, because it pulled me right out of it. And you have this whole big thing of Mendoza coming up right afterward as the Duke, and it kind of eclipsed that. Also about this thing that he was saying with somebody's soul, in that this was a whole, I don't know if it was a whole thing, but like people in like North African scholars at the time, like they were getting ganged up on, and they were like, you know, writing back to people because in the Arabic speaking world, people were writing to them that this was something about God, and everybody kept saying that this was something about God, and this is why slavery had come. And I think this language and this racism has something tied into that idea that was going around. But there's like these rebuttals from that time from scholars in North Africa about, you know, how all these political allegiances that they had, and all these religious, you know, the religious brotherhood was kind of like falling apart that they had with people in the Middle East. And I know that somebody said that this might, you know, it has something to do with the internal logic of the play, but also like some reference to another play that I haven't read. But yeah, I mean, just I think if that's like the outside history looking in and giving us this awkward and, you know, kind of hurtful moment in the play.
Eric, final thoughts?
I was going to talk about history a bit too, because I was just like, okay, so how much of this was actually, because you know, the whole making fun of church men and that kind of thing is very, very of the time, of course. But like, obviously, there's a lot of sort of social commentary in this that we're probably missing. Like the whole gossiping in court stuff is just very, very of the time again, I think. But I mean, sort of, you know, just the way people would gossip, I guess. Also, I'm getting upstaged by a cat. And yeah. What else? It's such a fast play, like sort of I mean, we're in Act 4, Scene 1, and tomorrow we're going to do Act 4, Scene 2. But so much has happened. Like I was thinking yesterday, how on earth do you explain this to someone? I was trying to explain it to my dad yesterday, and it's like, well, I do not know how to explain this. It was just fun, but also murderous, and yeah, I have no idea where this is going.
Briony, final thoughts?
Yeah, I'm still really enjoying it. A lot of similar thoughts to The Room. I like that the racism that we encountered today wasn't really embedded, so it would just be easy to quickly cut it out without affecting too much of that speech or the rest of the play in general. So that's always nice. It's worse when it's like right in there and you have to like pick it out. But there's just a vitality and a life in this play. I can't quite describe what it is. Again, like yesterday, so much of it's going right over my head because I don't have the historical knowledge of the literary knowledge on stuff, but it's still really enjoyable to me. There's just something about the way these characters are drawn, and just, yeah, it's very vibrant.
Right. Anybody want to throw any additional things in? We have just a moment remaining. Otherwise, I will close the session. Eric.
Yeah, I was gonna say that yesterday I didn't really like, because obviously he's called Malevole, so like from the beginning of the play I didn't trust him, but now I don't really trust any of them. So it's like we'll see what happens.
Good. That's good balance. Good balance. Well, we finish the play tomorrow, our next session. So we'll find out what happens. Do they all end up in a pile of bloody corpses? Find out next time in the exploring sessions. Goodbye, everyone. Thank you and goodbye. Good deeds crawl, but mischief flies.